to hit the like button for myself first. Hey, you will make it TV's followers, viewers, supporters, and listeners across the globe. Thank you for tuning in again, supporting You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational quotes, insightful topics, and divine messages weekly, right here with your favorite audio host, Arthur, Miss Tetta Sherry Whitney. We're happy to have you guys back here for another insightful topic. And really, with all I'm already going through, you know what I'm saying? I really wish people would stop asking, like, why don't we hear you speak up about politics more? Or they make statements like certain ones of us seem quiet, quote unquote, with some of the political topics. You know what I mean? And I understand. I would just say everybody's silence is not for the same reason, especially with political debates, which I'm still one of those who firmly believe, though, in voices and where they matter. I really think the real key is learning where to use our voice and learning where our silence is powerful too, because silence is never just a weakness. But we'll get to that in a minute. But we just in a crazy day where, you know what I'm saying, people mentalities is based off of it now. Like, oh, depending on what you feel politically, uh, we support you or not. And how long has it been this way? And why? I got a lot of questions on my string. Like, how long has it been this way? Like, because clearly, that's why I'm going to still break it down. Because this week is all about love and hate. When I talk about insightful topics, seriously. Because, I mean, for generations, we've been trying to preach and teach how far hate drives people, period. And they still trying to put people in small sectors and categories, or just make it look like one person has a hate towards one big group, or one person has a hate towards one big, oh, they'll point it out about anybody else. Trust me. Like, oh, that person ain't speaking about politics. They must not really care. I actually believe the ones that, I don't know, I wouldn't say they're any less relevant because they don't like openly speak about it. You see what I'm saying? But I said, why not? Because what I'm saying, it's just in the new generation we live in. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say, let me not say the new generation. In the first year of the second presidency term, this is just the first year, you already have people, just about everything is considered a cult now, CULT, in the first year. I didn't say it have anything to do with Donald Trump. It's just I feel like people are using the whole MAGA term to be kind of weird. You know what I mean? But they themselves don't want to be considered a cult. Like, how does that make sense? A cult is like pretty much a group. It's always more than one person. I see a lot of people finding their independence again too, because maybe this is not all coincidental. If you notice in society that any and everything is just about being considered a cult nowadays, when it's like a group of similar common interests or beliefs, what do you do? Like, what is your response? You know what I mean? Do you stay grouped up? Do you stay firmly within everything you ever believed in? Do you stay walking with those same people you always walk with? Because I'm serious, like, that can't be denied. Like, even if it's not being a cult, you had all these different names for stuff like gangs or organizations or communities. At the same time, it's still a group of people. Until you're standing completely alone, you cannot and stand on it and say, there's no way I'm associated or affiliated with a cult because I've been all by myself. Not too many people can say that today. Not too many people want us talking this way either. It's not just about being independent and trying to stand alone all the time. Just about everybody that used to run with a group, anybody, even Donald Trump himself, like, they going back in his history, looking at the groups he used to run with. They looking at the groups P. Diddy used to run with. Even if it was over 25 years ago, I think it's interesting. Because why would we wait to 20 years later to try to re-jog our memories like a jigsaw puzzle and remember who all we used to run with? I don't know. It's just interesting. Because if I can remember everybody I used to run with, we know that anybody else can. You know what I mean? Now, we have talked about that on other streams, the difference between a controlled environment and an environment that you just kind of, you had no choice to be in and you're doing your best to get through it, okay? But there's good controlled environments, bad controlled environments. I'm pretty sure controlled environments have always had a purpose. But still, if controlled environments are legal and people can still operate out of controlled environments, I just feel like people should slow their roles a little bit with trying to associate everything with being cultish. You know what I mean? Yet, like I said, certain groups, they're like, no, 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 there's no way we're that. No, we're not a gang. We're not a gang of bullies. We're not the KKK. We're not satanic. We're not doing anything. We don't resemble a cult a little bit. Like, how many people are defending themselves this way today? Like, seriously. You can't be on what's that called? A cheerleading team, football team. You might almost, because I saw that too in trending news lately, something about the NFL and Jay-Z. Like, I'm just saying, like, what group, cult, safe, community is just safe, is off limits from being labeled that, even if it's not being labeled that today, right? Okay, like, for example, people might say, everybody, they always say that when somebody finally caught for something, like, oh, well, everybody that followed Diddy was wrong. If they knew something and didn't say something, they wrong too, right? People do say that. Y'all gotta agree. Actually, they say, because y'all know this the Inspirational Quote channel. So it's a quote I just thought about. And it says, birds of a feather flock together. You hear me? And I'm tired of them trying to apply certain quotes to make it like, well, we should all think this way. And the quote doesn't apply for certain people. Make that make sense. You see what I'm saying? We all see it. We're just giving our different thoughts. Everything I state on my stream tonight, by the way, is just my thoughts, commentary, and reaction to actual real things going on in the world today. So I'm never just targeting one group of people. Let me say that for sure. Any project Crown Publishing Content has ever brought to the internet, or You Will Make It TV, it was never for the purpose of targeting a specific person or group. They might say, well, you had this person's picture on your thumbnail. Yeah, because sometimes you're using what they're going through as your topic. You're right. I'm not going to deny it. Because sometimes it's pushed so much in our faces that God is not going to let us deny it. What do you mean? Oh, this is going to... They say it gets great. But back to that one about birds flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. I believe in that quote too. It's just like, I don't believe in it when it only supposedly applies to certain groups, organizations, and communities. That doesn't seem fair at all. It's like, use the quote appropriately or don't say it anymore. If birds of a feather flock together, why is this not true suddenly when other people's lives are getting brought to the forefront? You know what I mean? The groups and communities and organizations they were a part of or once ran with or once believed in, okay? But I didn't give my opinion on how I feel like this is going to affect the world one day. I just think it's really crazy that now suddenly everything is a cult. But it's a reason that people are taking a second look at the whole MAGA campaigns too. MAGA campaigns aren't off limit. Black Lives Matter got looked into. Black Panthers got looked into. You name it. Gangs today, Bloods, Crips, all that still get looked into. Anything that's a grouped up type unified organization has always gotten looked into. Period. That's why I'm like, You can be a Trump supporter all you want to. That's why I don't talk about politics that much or my opinions about it. I really don't, because it's like, okay, people find it very unfair when certain things apply to them too. Okay, and that's where we really begin to see the depths of people's where they claim they deserve, where they are, and who they are, and all that. You see the depths of it. I mean, none of us are off limits. Me of all people would know it, but you see the depths of it, because it's like, if you really have a high emotional IQ, I believe it's actually necessary with certain leadership positions, because you can't just be out here making power decisions based off of just how you feel, and you're not considering how it's going to affect. If that don't scare people, I don't know. But you're just making decisions. Not saying that Trump is doing it, but to some people he is. You know what I'm saying? It seems like you're operating more from just an emotional place instead of what the well-being of the whole. Things that makes me wonder. Because when you say make America great again, is it for America or you, sir? And then people ask the same question. Well, what was great? Not saying America has never had greatness, but what was so great about it that you're trying to bring back? Because America also has a lot of history of bloodshed, of bondage, of people's free will being impended on. Shall I keep going? Of mixed histories being taught, or being taught in reverse, all of this. So I would have say, if it just would have been called MAG, Make America Great, that's enough. It's the again word for a lot of us. Things that make us wonder. Just imagine building something off of like force. You build something surrounded by force and abuse, and you're talking about making it great again. Well, it cannot involve force and abuse, because we have new laws. We've just come too far as Americans for certain things to go back to the way that it was again. I'm not the first one to say it. I'm just saying I agree with those who believe that. Okay? Maybe people thought making it great again meant foreigners are no longer here and all that crazy stuff, illegal immigrants. I don't know. I was just hoping I could get some more insight in other people's thoughts and opinions. Like, it's the again part that people are concerned about. If it was just called MAG, Make America Great, then what is there to really explain or prove? And you're trying to make America great, or at its greatest potential that it could be, right? At least try to overcome barriers. My problem with what I've been seeing today is just like, we are still trying to stuff all this cotton inside of a deflated bear and call it, I don't know what they've been calling it, but really you start to look stupid when sometimes the issue is only revolving around old cycles that could have been recognized. Old cycles, how can I say what I'm trying to say? Like, some of these cycles are 100% unnecessary. And that's where we get to looking at it like a lot deeper. But that's just how it is sometimes. I try so much not to speak on political topics, because it also seems sexist too. Like, y'all like, what does Democrat and Republicans have to do with sex? Yeah, I have seen through that right there. It has a lot to do with it, actually. I mean, in the last presidential campaign showed us that. Like, we had a whole woman up there too, running for president. What I meant by it seemed a little sexist is we still seem to, even though this is like a modern day Western civilization society, it's just a lot of old fashioned things I'm still noticing. Like, you got a lot of men who seem to be more fighting for control more than it is about religion or making things great again or people's safety. Because with as many men as we have in America, I do believe a whole lot more people could be safer than what they are. We still have a lot of men in America. That's the best way I could put it. Men, men, a whole man, okay? But when you desensitize a man to certain things, to me that's dangerous too. Where he like, hey, I give up on the women. I give up on the children. Like, wow, the men first? And they thought they was finna sit back and talk about the women who are tired when they look exhausted themselves. And that's why I say politics gets deep to me when I really think about it. That's why I don't do many topics about it openly anymore. And that's why too. I'm telling y'all, it just seemed like MAGA supporters, they're like that too. It's more about their emotions. And they still want to make things about taxes too when they put their emotions in it. Like, oh, our taxes, our taxes. Don't y'all see all of that is changing? How are you going to be a MAGA supporter and you don't know even taxes themselves are changing? Taxes, tariffs, and the economy as we know it. I think it's going to be a long stretch, but I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I do believe people are being more forced into acting their age, if you will, like acting their age. Like, look how old the president is. Some people just say he acts out of, it shows some of his comments, his reactions when they react, or how he reacts when he's asked certain questions about certain people he used to hang out with, right? We can see some of us, we're just regular people out here. We're not politicians at all. We don't have any special honors or special seats that we sit in, so our opinions probably do or don't matter as much as Trump's. But people do watch your reaction no matter what money class status you're in. You know what I mean? They watch your reaction to certain questions. But people didn't think some of my topics matter, right? Just like any of us, we can go to old videos and stuff we recorded. I promise I talked about it before, but they just thought I was being religious about it. No, there's a lot of symbolism in what Christ himself went through. How they would bring people just to get a reaction out of this man. Like, the man had already proclaimed time and time over again what he stood for, what he believed people should do and stop doing. Christ went through this himself. And then people would still stage situations. They would stage scenarios just so they could come ask him a question and get a reaction. And if it happened to Christ himself, no, Mr. Donald J. Trump is not off limits. I'm not off limits. Anybody's not. But do believe if they're not hungry for more than anything, I thought it was more Bitcoin or 5G Wi-Fi that would be the number one thing that's in what's that called? What's the word, y'all? That's in demand, right? But no, it seems like reactions are in demand. Reactions, reactions. Not only are reactions in demand, what was I saying? It's like there's already people making a lot of money off of it, apparently. And reactions wouldn't mean nothing if you didn't catch them on camera or somebody didn't record what you said, because then you could just say, you could just be saying anybody reacted any kind of way. But with the technology we have today, nobody can hide from what their natural reactions are to something. And yes, when you're in a leadership role, a more elevated position, people are always watching your reactions. Okay? Because people never fully break it down to me, in my opinion. Like, they just be like, oh, when they're celebrities, people watch their lives and they're in their business. No, they're watching their reactions. They're watching how they carry themselves. They're watching their level of emotional intelligence too. Even if I have never reached that peak yet and lived that life yet, like, bro, you can see that from a mile away. You can just see that reactions are very much in demand. It's a good thing, I guess, but it's a bad thing too. It's a bad thing because it could implicate you in many ways. This is the year, I believe, that some people call it the year of Aquarius, the year of this and that. I think most of us agree this has been a powerful year of exposure. And for some, good exposure. It's the type of exposure saving lives. It's the type of exposure taking lives too. Because what begins to happen when you have a stronger camera footage technology? What do you, they want to reactions are so in demand, right? Everybody can watch the same footage of something and still there ends up 97K comments on that one footage. You know why 97K comments ends up as a thread on the same video that 97,000 different people watch? Because 97K different people are going to have an opinion every time. I was just using a random number, but yeah, I mean, for example, yeah, look how many people have a reaction immediately. And then, now that I said that part, look how many people will try to. They call them trolls, or I don't know what they call them, but those are out there. Trolls are not just on the internet. When we think trolls, we're not talking about the happy-go-lucky Disney people. You know what I mean? Like, they're willing trolls because reactions are in demand. And they want to be the one to say, hey, I was there. I saw her reaction. I saw. It's like, why were you looking for it in the first place? Number one. Number two, I think that reactions are so in demand that people will put the time in to invoke a reaction out of you too, depending on what. And if we pay attention, they're doing it about certain things. See, they know exactly what they're doing with Trump right now. That's what I was getting to. I know I was going around the circle about it, but I believe they know exactly what they're doing with him. And my opinion was, my reaction to that is, yeah, all of us are susceptible to that. You could be thinking you're enjoying 10, 15 years, this year 2025 included, but just make sure you're ready to answer for that same flock of birds of feathers that you thought it was okay to flock together with, because anybody's day could come to answer for that. And now his happen to be people like the Maxwell lady or the Epstein guy, right? And other people they see in his old pictures, like P. Diddy. They took a few pictures together in a day. I just looked at it like, well, they're both from New York or something. You know, maybe the rich cross paths sometimes and they want to have a picture together. But once again, what did I say? People are looking for the reaction. That's why they're doing shorts. They're circulating more information into the media so that we can all give our reactions to. It's just crazy. I think it's really crazy because it said recently he came out and said something. I'm gonna have to look into that. He had a public reaction to something Charlemagne the God said, which is this guy on The Breakfast Club. He's a podcaster on there, a radio host, a very well respected one, might I ask. Might I add? I say ask. And it's just crazy. I don't know if that was a publicity stunt or what. I don't think the president has times for publicity stunts though. So I would believe that if he takes the time out to type anything about somebody like us out here, then he meant what he said. He just seems to be getting emotionally triggered these days. Which we know we can't do that in certain positions. I'm even learning a lot more about it myself. But I'm a transparent woman, right? Just as much as I'll mess up, I'll admit that mess up. It's where when people try to run and say the mess up before you can even quote unquote take accountability for it, that's where I get a little aggravated sometimes, right? You can't preach that people should take accountability, but before they can even add up their wrongdoings, you're already outside somewhere trying to take the accountability for their mistakes, okay? I'm just using myself for an example. I didn't say I am for sure or not going through something particular at this time, right? But what did they say? Patience produces an understanding. And it's kind of hard to get quick-witted angry at stuff that you begin to understand, right? They say we only fear what we understand, or we run, what we don't understand, or we run from what we don't understand. But do we talk more about what happens with applied knowledge in our life, or what we begin to look like the more we understand something? Anybody, your natural reaction, you're going to be a little calmer. You're going to be a little at ease. You're going to be a little more peaceful because why? You understand it better. All this is a bunch of people getting in the way of trying to block everybody's potential of understanding. Because I believe we all have the potential to understand any matter that we like. Everybody might grow or catch on at a slower pace than others. I believe that. But sometimes that one that was studying, they're taking longer because they're studying a little harder. They're checking corners and crevices that they never seen anybody really touch on. And it's taking them longer. Anyways, I'm trying to stay on topic with this here. In my opinion, if it was just called Make America Great, nothing would seem sus about it. Like if the whole campaign was just called Make America Great. hmm Make it great again. People are still wondering what that means. They don't care who the supporters. I think people think the more what's they called, like elite names they have behind their campaigns, that it gives them power, man. It's really sad to see because no matter what position somebody is, it doesn't mean that they understand, number one, their own position and how much influence they really have to make a difference. How you gonna say you're trying to make something great again, but before you were even a Trump supporter, you weren't doing anything to make it great again? If your whole career was about what makes you happy and what you're doing and how much money you can get, how are you making America great again? But they call themselves supporters of this. And they don't want us really just sitting down somewhere thinking about what it all means. But I wouldn't want to lead a people of airheads either. And it says a lot when you rather the people to be airheads so they don't ask you no questions. Like me, I don't know. That's why I said what I said at the beginning of the stream too. Like, I wouldn't care if it's the homeless. That's my supporters. I wouldn't want them to be airheads. Are they learning something? Are we actually helping make something great again? Like I said, how you gonna have a bunch of selfish people that's been doing things for themselves want to be first in line to say they're supporters, but as stuff come out, I feel like God just testing everybody, man. At the same time, it's kind of hard to like not see it. He'll let you say you're a supporter for something for 10 years and sit back and won't say nothing. God. And then once truth bombs start dropping, they rather deny the truth than to just stop supporting something they're supporting. This is exactly why I don't speak on politics too much anymore. Outside of what I see on the news, I might scan through it, say my opinions out loud, keep going on about my day. Just as far as, well, let me get up and rally up and do all of this so I can prove a point. I'm just burnt out on it at this point. Because people are going to follow and believe and stand on and continue to fuel and influence what they want to anyway. I just thought that was interesting though. Like, no, support what you've been supporting. But it make people look a certain way to just point out certain people and what they're doing. But when some of their favorites are on the hot seat about who they used to hang with and what they were doing, they're saying, oh, they pressuring him. They're trying to give him a bad image, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, when it's happening to anybody else, what are they trying to do? They not just trying to get that man a bad image. They're in his business like they've been in everybody else's. Like, you're not off limits from that. You know? But we've just been saying it a lot. Like, it's like if people can't choose their own independent paths in life, it's like God is shaking things up where they're going to do it either way, even when they're forced to. Because our reactions are being studied, whether they're silent or open. I gotta respect the ones that was just openly, but that's what they're watching. Just like who all started just big supporting him, like full diehard supporters of his campaign, Make America Great Again. And if they do jump ship and they like, oh, never mind, I don't support the MAGA campaign. Are they doing it openly? It just make you look at the whole group. Didn't I say that? Y'all the one made that quote talking about birds of a feather flock together, but now they don't want that quote to apply to certain campaigns or organizations. Yeah, they don't want that quote to apply to everybody. That's my opinion. It just was an easy way to make people look like something. I say that quote is true when it's properly applied to the right situations. I just think that's crazy. Talking about birds of a feather flock together, but they don't want that to apply to everybody. I was just saying it should. Like, for example, some of those people that been to Diddy parties, they didn't want that quote to apply to them. They want us to believe, oh, I didn't know this and that was going on. I was just in attendance. Like, not everybody, that's not taking accountability. I think we all agree on that. Everybody in the comments talking about all these different people need to take responsibility. I'm sorry, they need to take accountability, blah, blah, blah. Well, I just say that should apply to everybody. Like, everybody should take accountability for who they've been running with, hanging with, trusting. Take accountability. Make that quote apply there too. Birds of a feather flock together when they start. I say the internet is undefeated. Like, they go find old photos from back in the day. Like, yeah, see, right there, they was buddies. Right there, they was homies, you know. They were shaking hands. They were doing business meetings. They were at the parties. And they don't want to talk about it because it's always been that way. Birds of a feather flock together. That excuse does not work for everybody that you was around a setting or an environment, but you didn't know what was going on. Like, everybody not going to keep being able to get by with that, bro. I just want to make sure somebody calls it out. Like, for example, I still can't believe, like, PBS is being defunded. You know, certain broadcastings that could even give more of a educational insight on things that be going on across the globe. Like, why are they being defunded? Is that a whole... I ain't even ask that question. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Why are certain media communication platforms being defunded? You can't defund something you weren't funding to begin with. So I do wonder what the future of PBS will be. They don't have to exactly shut down just because they're not being funded from certain, government agencies and programs anymore. I still have that level of hope. Yeah, it just let God be God right now and expose some things. But look at what they did when they did have the power. You were ready to defund educational things when it's corruption in other areas. Once again, I'm just making it clear. This is why I don't speak about politics. I can't even speak about faith or love or hate without being attacked. Don't let me start giving my opinions about politics. Back to the sexist part of it, I was speaking on a second ago, though. Like, that is a problem when we still have a whole sexist power control problem. Maybe people feels like that backs them up more. Like, hey, if I have a leader that's a man who believes that men should always be right and men should always, because that's where it starts to look like a cult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, any group or organization where there's men there and they have that type of mentality, like, yeah, the men here are all in charge, and if you go against what the men say, or you go against what the women say, or you go against what this sex group says, then, yep, now that starts to look like a cult. And they be wondering why certain things are being labeled as that. To me, that's a little bit of the reason. A cult can't be considered a cult without a leader, right? A cult can't be considered a cult without followers. And don't they have some type of form of engagement? They have meetings. They have some type of sworn-in process. See, on YouTube, you simply hit the subscribe button when you want to follow somebody. For example, most of these social media platforms, you hit some kind of subscribe or follow or friend button, and that's how you become their follower, right? But with The old way of how cults used to be set up, you were physically following them. You follow their practices, you follow their teachings, you following everything about them, and you do what they say. And when certain stuff start looking like that, then yeah, you start to wonder, hey, is this a cult or a campaign here? Because if I don't get to make a point about anything else on this stream tonight with this topic, it's that I've been preaching this all July, before and after Independence Day. It's what I've been preaching. Love is love, hate is hate. We are born with the right to operate out of either one for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? You can operate out of love all day, you can operate out of hate all day. I don't think it's a crime to love somebody or to hate somebody. That's what I'm getting to. But the emotional intelligence levels of people begin to show based off of their actions when they're working through those emotions or letting those emotions work through them. A person full of love, yeah, they might be more silent. You would think they got a lot to say all the time. That doesn't always mean it. Love spoils people in that way. Like, here you go, free will. I can't control what everybody feel, think, see, and hear every day anyway. All I can do is choose to operate out of love. And like I said, love doesn't always mean 1,000 words. It hasn't not Walmart. Hallmark taught us that by now. Hallmark, the greeting card company. Love is not always a million words. It's like a gesture. It's an action. It's how you care. It's what you're doing. Okay, and then. Now, they already knew I was getting to this part. Now, when it comes to hate, I'm just like, man, we still haven't elevated from this, not just as a country, but it looks like as humans. Like, how many people are teaching their kids, act out of hate? It's weird. Like, this is what you do when you hate somebody, because I don't believe people just grow up with that mentality. Like, they become a grown person and now they feel like they can do whatever to somebody because they hate them. That's where, what you call prejudice or racism, because, it's many things you can be prejudiced or racist against. People think that's always just about color. Somebody might not think you should wear your hair a certain way. Somebody feels like you should be more focused on your kids than your career, or whatever it is. You know how many adults right now, if they just don't talk about it, but they actually, even though they were very well taken care of financially as a child, they really would have preferred the physical presence of their parent more than the money and the fancy things. You see what I'm saying? It's just an example of what I'm talking about. But you still have people give opinions, like, you know what I'm saying? Opinions are opinions. They might be like, no, your kids should come before your career. Or, damn, once you put them before your career, no, you need to go to work. I mean, people are never satisfied. It has to be a balance. Those I noticed that did put their career and money and the road before their kids, they be silent about that. They don't really talk about that a lot. I mean, the real ones do. And like Tom Cruise, for example, or Brad Pitt, it was just like certain celebrities that it was in the news actually sometimes. Their business, their family affairs. I don't know why people judge that. They don't be looking at your career and talent all the time. They want to go behind the black screen and see what's going on, what's going on in your personal life. With that being said, we know that never really took away from the talent of some of these guys just because their kids get older later and they're like, yeah, dad really wasn't there for me. This man was always invested in his career. No, they more rather talk about Northwest and what she's wearing today. You know what I mean? Or kids like her and what they're wearing and what their parents are letting them doing and what they think is right and not right. We need to watch our kids. A lot of people would have to get their whole job and career up just to do that. Like how much access kids have to stuff today on a 24/7 basis. Let's really think about it. That's a full-time job in itself, but it could be better balanced, I'm sure, with a household of two parents. They just be trying to judge people, because I consider Kim Kardashian a single parent too. When I use her for an example with certain life lessons I be looking at, like People like, no, she's not a single parent. Yes, she is, buddy, until she's 100% recommitted in another marriage. Because I don't think people know the definition of a single parent. You having a boyfriend or even being engaged, you're still a single parent until you're officially married again. And it's been appalling to me how much we expect now, right? People say politics has nothing to do with sexes, but I'm pointing out some stuff. It appalls me how much more aggressive we've become towards single parents too. And I'm saying whether it's on the lower class of parents or parents as high class as Kim Kardashian, she's still a single parent. That's what I see in common with all the different stories. If there is any common denominator here, I had to start somewhere with breaking this down. There is a common denominator. You want to just take control of the broken pieces we have left of the country, because it is what we have left. A bunch of broken single parents walking around here still trying to do the best they can with broken children and a lot of removed fathers from the homes. And that was going on before I was even born. Was talking about that the other day when it goes back to talking about the family dynamics and stuff, like how I didn't understand at first, you know what I'm saying? You would just talk to older women and they'd be like, well, baby, back in the day, and I never name names because I've heard many women tell me this. There was like older women. I never named names because not all of them was family members, but older women I've met and experienced and conversated with over the years, they said, back in our day, sweetie, we would keep our business in our house. Don't y'all know I used to be against that when they used to tell me that? But let me keep going. They used to be like, we used to keep our business in the house, even if we were being abused by the husband. It was unheard of back then to go tell the whole town, your husband is beating on you, or he's not coming home, or he's not fully helping you with the kids. Really, you didn't hear that as much. It was just like the men even then had more of an influence over the family unit. That means they could step out and go cheat when they want to, even make outside babies. Some of these women just stood up, and they care for the babies like they own. They didn't have time to grieve or complain on social media that their man, in a TikTok story, that their man had an outside baby. Back then, they kind of just rolled with the punches. Literally, I was trying to explain to people that some of these, when it comes to rights for women and the movement and just like assistance resources out there to help domestic violence victims, stuff wasn't even here just 20 years ago. What you would call quote unquote safe haven shelters and hotline numbers for victims, none of that stuff was here just 20 years ago. Actually, for a long time, they got by saying that it was because a lot of women would just return back to the situation. Have we noticed that? They say, well, the women go back anyway. But I am grateful to know that, because a lot of countries still don't have a lot of help for people in those situations. America's come a long way. That's why I'm looking at what do we really mean when we say make it great again? Do we have a problem with the fact that there are resources and help for certain situations that people could be in that we didn't have just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? When the first crack pandemic happened, crack and drugs on the streets, there was not much assistance for that. As things unfold, as far as like epidemics and pandemics and all this stuff they call it, then they find a solution. Usually it's a problem first. You know what I mean? What am I saying in a nutshell? I'm trying to make sure. That's why I don't like to get into politics, because sometimes it seems like before it's about politics, it's about we're still on that level, like the power of the man over the woman. And that's a problem, because if your leader thinks that way, then what are your followers doing? You know what I mean? I don't know if they didn't think that was noticeable, but it's noticeable. That's all. I had to come here and make people remember that, though. Like, Stuff like housing, Section 8, food stamps. Like, who cares if it's being cut off? Some people are still living and they remember the days it wasn't here at all. And they were still surviving. But even then, they would ask women, why are you staying in this situation? Why are you staying with your husband? You can't win for losing, though. If you stay in a situation, they're going to say it's something wrong with you. You get out of it and try to make it on your own and actually practice your right to independence and freedom and integrity and hard work. People still have a problem with that. It's kind of like trying to hide a pile of trash behind a trash can. But the inspector comes in and that's the first thing he sees is the trash. Like, everything else could be clean. But when it's not fully cleaned up, man, you still see that. You see it even easier. In my opinion, God is definitely shining light on that. Like, people trying to make it about, if it's about what's morally right and wrong all the time and the golden rule and all of this, it wouldn't still be a power of sexes going on to me. And the power of sexes should not be going on in certain places. And y'all say that y'all practice work rights, work opportunity. I don't know how they have you fill out their work opportunity credit form. If you ever pay attention on a lot of job applications, there's a page that says work opportunity form. It asks certain questions. You know what I mean? Have you and your family been on this assistance program this year? I always wonder, like, what does that have to do with me trying to get a job right now? Even myself, I asked that before. Like, I think it is optional. It's like a survey, but it's pretty job application you apply for it. Like, it's called a work opportunity survey or something like that. I'm sure they have their reasons that they ask those questions. They ask like your gender, are you disabled, have your family been on SNAP in the past 12 months? And I'd be like, what does that have to do with me needing to get a job or me doing this job application? So I personally pay attention to that now. Like, if I could bypass the work opportunity form, I do try to. It's like, why do I have to give you all this extra graphics just to apply for a job? Something that they say makes you hard-working citizen. It makes you a citizen more of integrity. People know that too. That's why I feel like a lot of the people that do be in certain positions doing the wrong thing, that was their first step to the cover-up, was getting a certain job. If you're going to tell people to go to work, be specific. Like, if I was the president, I don't want you to just go to work. I want you to get the most fulfilling experience out of whatever workmanship that you choose. I want to make sure that we're funding the work programs that help people to do this. I would make sure that we're funding the other outside resources that help people to stay working. Because if you're just telling people to go to work, that's why you're going to have an unhappy country. You just want people at work at jobs that are not fulfilling to them. Why are we trying to defund the programs that would actually help them to obtain those more fulfilling jobs? That's my question. Even start making stipulations about who can and not. As far as that them garnishing wages and coming after people for student loans, I actually understand that one, and how there might actually be a huge deficit from people signing up for school, not finishing, because there was a whole time that people were doing it. Like, they would enroll for school just for their first payment, and then you never seen a person show up for class no more. They didn't know that was going to hurt them one day. Sweetie, once you take out some of that school money, you're going to owe that back. You're definitely going to owe it back if you don't finish out the semester or the whole program. But let's just start with one semester. Then you decide to drop out and you're like, well, I got this school money. I don't know if people still do that. It's not a smart move though. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's in people's face now. Now they want to complain like, oh my God, they're saying they might garnish wages and start taking assets and everything behind these student loans. And I don't think they're playing either. Because why apply for government funding for school and you didn't know? I don't know. Do people not read the contracts? Yeah, you owe that money back. when the government is helping you pay for school, which The government helped a lot of people pay for school. That's why I did feel like certain seats of positions, they're not off limits when it comes to judgment and what they are doing in those positions, especially when the government itself probably helped you to get that degree, to get where you at. But they love to break stuff down to us, what we should and shouldn't be doing with government benefits, right? Okay, there was still a government benefit if it helps you to get a degree to help you sit in as a doctor, a nurse, whatever it is you do. That's exactly why they are held to a certain standard. You got a higher education, great, but now you're held to a higher standard. They just forget that part. You know what I mean? To me, they do. You get a higher level of money, you still held to a certain standard. I don't want I didn't ever want my respect. Do I want to get his testimony? Do I want to get his testimony tonight? I was gonna say how I don't want my respect to just come from how much money I have. It's like God heard my prayer about it too. He'll break it all the way down and make that prayer come true. Like, for too long, that's where people respect came from. How much money they can lay on the table at any given time, how much money they can pass out, or how much money they just got, which life has been showing us too. We all been struggling, celebrities and everybody. They've been selling stuff, taking out loans. Some of everybody is feeling this, you know what I mean? Or I would say more people are downsizing, looking at what does and doesn't matter, what's probably just extra, because why would you wait till the last minute to do that? Even if you can get a smaller mansion, a smaller car, you can turn it 10 cars into 2. How much more money would you have in your bank account? There's absolutely nothing wrong with downsizing. Even the celebrities don't get away from the criticism. People just swear you going broke because they see you making a few business moves they ain't seen you make in 20 years, right? But downsizing is still a very smart, I don't know everything about money. I just say that's a smart investment to actually decrease in some areas of your life. I'll be right back, guys. Are you gonna watch a movie? Let's watch Ernie. Shout out to everybody in the chat tonight. Once again, none of our topics are ever under the grounds of targeting or trying to make anybody look a certain way. We call them insightfulness topics for a whole reason. I used to like what they call them critical thinking questions. That's what they used to call them in school, because there was never a right or wrong answer. It was more always for a participation grade, but it gives you it just teaches you to kind of think crucially sometimes, critically, because some topics do require you to do that. I'm just thankful for that skill in school. They call it critical thinking skills, because some situations and things in life are going to be critical. You know what I mean? What's the definition of critical? Like, like your answer's not right or wrong, but it's critical. You know what I mean? I'm glad for this school. But is it just me out there, or do you guys feel also that there's some type of power struggle going on? Like the devil just want everybody confused with their identities. Because really, you never come to a common understanding with a bunch of people who don't even know who they are. They don't even care to. All they need to know is their name and birthday and their personal. People think their personal information is all. I used to think that too. That's why I know. People think their personal information is all that's affiliated with their identity. And I love that God is going to use my life too to show people no, identity is about a little more than that, sweetheart. Than a few pieces of personal information. Action to that. I thought of another quote earlier I didn't get to post, and it said, why are we only awakened? What was the quote I thought of? Like, are we awakened before we open our eyelids or when our eyes are fully open? It was something like that. Like, some people consider woke. You're only woke when you know you're woke. Like, when you pop those eyelids open, you are now awake. But the fact that your eyelids even closed for you to get some rest shows that you have the ability to awaken. I don't know, just physically and spiritually speaking, it's powerful to think about. But yes, I believe identity is more than a few pieces of personal information. And thank God it is, because wow, at the end of the day, what is personal information? All of that stuff started as pieces of paper. That's what controls us at the end of the day, pieces of paper. What we write down on a piece of paper. I had it all wrong. I thought it was what they were capturing on images and videography today. It's not just about what they capture in still motion anymore. It's really about that paperwork. You know what I mean? That's why anybody can slap anything on a piece of paper. Slap a signature. See, they're just disrespecting identity now. Like, it don't even feel right. But it was okay. You know what I'm saying? God has us to see that and allow us to feel that so that we can come into that understanding. Like, what if your whole identity was just based off a piece of a birthday, a name, an address? If you want those types of personal information to only be the only thing that relates to your identity, hats off to you. But I refuse to believe that only small pieces of information like that is what make up my identity, right? I might want to know it on a soul level, on a spiritual level, on a mental level, on a financial level. It's slow and gradually as it takes me to learn it. I still would rather believe that identity is more than a few pieces of personal information. That's stupid. Like, yeah, we got a stack full of see, that's what backgrounds and all that is about. And there's different type of backgrounds. There's cultural backgrounds, criminal backgrounds, financial report backgrounds, credit backgrounds. You feel me? Everything is background. Background just means a file of papers that show, with writings on them, that show supposedly who you are. We know that criminal background always tell a lot about us. That's why jobs actually require them. Jobs, well, certain positions. Whether y'all believe it or not, I've actually worked jobs that they didn't even do a background check. Let me see. Am I telling it right? Yeah, they either didn't do it or they didn't care if you were a felon as long as it was 5 years or less. I heard somebody say they got it out the mud, or they know what it's like to get it out the mud. For me to even know careers like that exist, I've definitely got it out the mud. Just know that's under my belt, and I appreciate it, God. It's a part of what helps me to stay humble. I actually miss working jobs like this sometimes, because you just were working more in team group type dynamics, right, to get projects done. And at least they weren't turning people away for jobs. Once again, you could be a felon as long as it was under 7 years, 5 years, some places just 2 years. I was still trying to, but then again, this was before both of Trump's presidential terms. It's like these MAGA people actually are against that type of stuff. Like, I'm not saying I'm right about it, but why do they seem against those type of programs that were helping people get their CDL? They just want to defund it. I mean, that's the best we could come up with. There were just programs out here, not just programs, but employers as well that they still got them. I have to find a list I once had. I've moved a lot in the past few years, but I had a list of straight employers, in case people don't believe me, that not for me, just to help people with at any given time. It's employers that some of them are global employers, right? They don't just have companies in America, but they do hire felons, and that's what their CEO decided that they wanted to do. I'm not just saying they want a company full of felons working in there, but there are some companies, they call them felony friendly or something like that. And I just wanted to be one of those advocates and resources in the world, resource hubs at least, that made sure that people did understand. I don't care what position of the mud or root the ground that you're coming up from. There are employees. There's an opportunity out there for everybody, even the disabled. There's disabled people who go to work. Hell, with how the economy's been, more of them have been at work, actually. Now that I think about it, it's more elderly people working in some of these warehouses. I know people ain't lying about that. Now, it's been years since I worked warehouse industry type work, but when I was there, I did see that it was kind of crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? People that look grandmother age, like elderly people still working, like literally, because in the warehouse we doing like manual work. Like, we might have to build displays or fill up soda bottles, whatever we were doing, packaging cereal, packaging Barbie dolls. I worked at all of, not all of them, but that's how I talk. But I work at a lot of different ones, and I can tell you that any warehouse I ever worked in, them old people were not on the forklifts. I could at least respect that if they were a manager or maybe on the forklifts, because on those they like sitting down all day pretty much. But these people, like the Amazon warehouses, they be having older people in there working. So you got a lot of people that feel like, young, able-bodied people. And I'm not saying they're wrong. They feel like young, able-bodied people should just go to work. And I'm not making excuses. But you can't want to speak on every single topic, because you better have an answer for every single topic that you think you're qualified to speak on. Because in the mental health sector of things and the family dynamic, building a strong family dynamic type of things, showing your children and everybody around you that working is important. But what if work begins to consume your life so much your wife is cheating, right? That's them things they be like, just go to counseling. You're at work so much, something was happening with your kid and you didn't know about it. You at work so much, you missed Betty's wedding last week, right? Because actually people be taking losses for work. These employers don't want to hear it though, and neither does MAGA. They're saying go to work. We need to fill these jobs. And that's fine. I'm telling y'all, I actually agree with that. I'm just saying don't leave out those other corners where work has greatly affected people's lives. Like, people gave a lot to go to the jobs they went to, and then at least you had those things that they weren't being defunded yet, like daycare programs or just transportation assistance, different things that probably at least help the family get to working and make sure that the kids are safe while the parents at work. Anyways, I do think that the older generations were onto something as far as the women staying at home with the kids. They probably like, look who's saying it. I never was against it. I never was. I actually, back to what I was saying, the older women some of them have told me out their own mouth, in different races, let me add that, different cultures of women. It didn't matter. If they were older, they said the same thing. You kept your business in your house. Y'all know easier for them to do that? You really want to know? There was no internet. There was no social media. I'm not saying it was okay to be covering up incest, abuse, rape, divorce. What's the other word? Just domestic violence. It was going on years and years and years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Back at a certain time in this country, if you were multicultural, biracial couple, and you were doing it and openly displayed, they actually didn't hide attacking you. They believed at one point that certain two cultures of people shouldn't even date, shouldn't be together. We've come a long way. So I take a statement like "Make America Great Again." I take it very serious. You know what I mean? They probably like, I take that more serious. I mean, because when people vote people in, it's for the hope of changes with certain things, period. That's not to say who I voted for, whether I voted or not. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure that's people in whole main agenda and intention of voting. And I was just saying that's still great and everything. Yes, I think Obama even had some kind of work program for the teens through 14. I think they were 14 through 24. I thought it was pretty cool. I can't remember if I participated in that one though. I don't remember. But y'all know what I'm talking about. It was like where it was a stipend. Like they got a gift card in the mail with, they got Visa gift cards. It's like a form of cash too. But it was some type of workforce program they had to participate in. They had what is that called? What am I trying to describe? Like job classes, job readiness. That's the word I was looking for. Job preparedness. Where they not just help them get ready for work and help them with food handler's license so they can go work at help them maybe with the price of an ID. Literally, I don't know. I grew up in this country to watch it. I know that there have been some very, very good programs and stuff to help people, not just even illegal immigrants. Not all of them are illegal. Some of them actually came here and put in the hard work to get their papers, and they're doing great today. I wish they would share more of those stories, actually. We can go find them on our own, but I'm saying share those stories too, because not everybody was an illegal immigrant. Show some of the ones that actually got established, got their papers right, built families here, because if you choose to stay here, it's something you like about it. At any time, any one of us can change our status. It's actually, a choice at the end of the day. You can change your, maybe residential status, go stay somewhere else. But I would say if we still see people here, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, living a life, enjoying their freedoms and, making money at their own will and with bank accounts, I believe some of those still exist. I just wanted to shout them out too with all the different changes that have been in the country lately. We know not everybody was no illegal immigrant, and that not every illegal immigrant was probably some type of threat either, right? That's why some of us, we take that serious. Like, hey, America, they just have to understand we have come through many different forms. Like, why go to a country and not know the history of that country? Or why you here, get to know it. And you mean that with the utmost respect. Like, I do. I mean that with the utmost respect. Like, that would be disrespectful of me to go move somewhere too, right? Not just fully get some type of educational residency or work visa. No, like me literally decide to stay somewhere else for 10 years. Why wouldn't I know the history of that place a little bit, or take the time to research it a little bit and what the people there have been through, what the people there had to overcome to get to where they are? I think they look at us all like bodies. That's the problem as it is. It's becoming more obvious. Everybody being looked at like work numbers, like statistics. Statistics are important, don't get me wrong. We should never stop counting the facts. But we shouldn't disregard human life in a way where everything is just a number. I'm that one, they be like, boo, who wants to hear that? Oh, we spin back around to the facts when we need to. I might be sharing this same thing I'm saying 5 years later. What did I say? I'd rather be confident than be right. But I am confident in what I'm saying. Like, regardless where a person is from, when you start looking at anywhere you do that, all the people just become numbers instead of human lives, or they become numbers and influences you can have instead of human lives. Gestures of acts of gratefulness and kindness is great, but I believe it's more than that too that we could be doing across communities in different places to show that we actually do look at one another more than dollar signs and numbers. What do y'all think? I mean, maybe some people don't care. I do. I care about humanitarian things like this. They probably looked for signs in it, and as far as my choices every day, listen to the way I talk. It's like, let's start there. And once again, learning the history of those of us that were born here. Because you had those that was born here and those that were brought over here. Let's just be honest. Or some that had to, once again, get that immigrant status. They had to go through a certain process, and it might have took some years for them. You know what I mean? More of them should tell their stories too. It's a great time too. Because some people just thought, they shouldn't have to go through the process. I'm not here to judge it, but why not listen to more of those who did go through the process, or those that were born here? Listen to their history and their ancestral history. Maybe you don't care, you know what I mean? But you can't come here try to impede the rights of people that are still fighting for their rights over here. That's like totally double standard. That's like triple standard. And then say, where are our hearts? How am I trying to say what I'm saying? You ask, where are their hearts when this is happening to us? Did you even research what happened to us? That was my first question. There was a whole playbook back in the day on how to keep us, certain people over here, slaves. Like, we're focused on that. We're not saying we're not humanitarian all the way across the board. But what's more humanitarian than making sure that you continue to fight for the same freedom that others literally fought for? Or did we think it was a game? Nobody just, they look, oh, Americans are so lucky. You don't know what Americans had to go through to have it in the modern day era status that it's in today, that so many people desire. Yeah, Americans argue sometimes, bicker, and we don't get it right about how things should be around here. But like I said, if it was so undesirable, why do you have those legal status immigrants that did go through the process? They ain't chose to go home. Some of them have. I was just saying, majority over all this time before all this was going on, they choose to stay here for a reason. You can point out a group of people all you want to and say, ha ha ha, woe is them. But you're the one still over here. You're the one thinks this is such a great free place that you enjoy so much you haven't went back home. You see what I'm saying? Why would I let that type of influence me? All I can do is notice it, recognize it. Like, that seems strange. Why wouldn't you want to know the history? You just gonna go move somewhere. If you didn't have the intention of something else, because your intention should be just for you to come and share the fruits of the labor. Whose fruits of the labor are you sharing? Did you think it was somebody else's? No, we look at it as we're called united and welcoming to diversity for a reason. You know what I mean? United States on that part, but the whole right to freedom and independence and starting a business without just, people stay over here for a reason. They moved here to be able to do that. But they do try to, I don't know, to me they try to like point out certain things over here, which, like I said, America is not perfect. Any country is not perfect to me. But we are a grade above many others. We have been for a while. I recognize that. You know what I mean? And people think I mean financially, so they get on that part where they be like, no, America is in debt and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, they point out all this stuff, but they're still over here. Anybody. That statement goes for anybody. You got such a problem with what's going on over here. You're either a part of the change, or why are you still over here? Just attacking people out of love and hate. No, because love wouldn't allow you to do that. But I was back to that love and hate topic. You don't have to come over here loving everybody that's in this country, but why would you just come with the hate? That seems crazy. That's like me going to another country with a heart full of hate for the people. Any group of people over there. Because we know not one country is just made up with a whole one nationality. It's usually diverse. We're talking about modern day world right now. You know what I mean? You have to get people to look at it that way, because what would I look like? I said, man, let some of us try to go to other places doing what people be coming over here doing. They're not going to allow that in their country. You just to come over there like, yeah, well, I don't like you and I'm going to mess all this up in your life and I'm going to take your identity. Let me try to go to another country with it. I mean, I might get away with it, but why would I go with those intentions? Like, how bad is it? How bad is it really? That you already gained some freedom by coming over here, but you want somebody else's freedom too. But we know that the enemy is the master of great deception. You don't have to fight for a double freedom when you have your own. Hey, what's the matter, poo-poo? Come here. Here, let's get you a juice. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Get her laptop. Naya says she can hang with her for a second. Poo-poo, what do you want to watch? Teletubbies? I enjoy being in a free country. We watch Teletubbies, Elmo, whatever we want. But it will be sad to kind of see that for the first time in history, like PBS defunded. I don't think they mean PBS Kids or the whole sector. I think they're just talking about the news media part of PBS lost a little funding or whatever. They're not going to be receiving it. I think it did, ain't it August? I think they said they're going to affect by the end of the year. We probably won't see the PBS NewsHour being broadcast like that no more. I did feel free to tune in to previously recorded segments just like these in my live section. But I did talk about that. It was NPR, and I gave a reaction to it anyway. NPR and PBS, but I don't think they're talking about PBS Kids. I keep saying this for the record for a reason. I don't think it was every sector of PBS altogether that's being defunded, but I did see that in the news. Some part of it has been defunded, and I think it's the NewsHour part. Not where they do the educational videos about animal news and stuff. Hey, what's the matter? She just woke up. Let me bring you a juice. We love PBS. I was raised watching it. Oh, baby boom. Here, help me open these. Can you open it? No. Why not? Here, have one. Here. Here. That's for you. Here, let me open it. I have some more of these. Don't worry, be happy. Thank you. You're welcome. Here, let me bust this open for you. I'm super mom. Here. Now, you know how to... Girl, she shocked me earlier. She know how to open these. She knows how to put the straw in by herself. I didn't know how to do that till like 4. She know how to... Here. Oh! It's a brand new package, so it's hard to get out. Hold on. Hold on. Thank you. Y'all always... Okay, tear the paper off of it. Here, you got it? 1, 2, 3. I'm back like I never left. What part was I talking about? They're done in the PBS NewsHour. I'll believe it when I see it. Even if it happens, I don't think it's gonna stay that way. I believe PBS deserves every dollar it's been getting. They were being accused of spreading information, something like that they were saying, which we've never known PBS to be one of the messy broadcasters. Let's be honest, like the messy ones, just trying to share bad stuff about people, but that's what they were accused of. That's what they were accused of. Like, just because one person feels like they're shedding bad news on them, wouldn't that be lovely, though? We could all shut down the channel that we feel like is hurting us based off of their freedom of speech and what their opinion is about something. That's crazy. Then we would have no broadcasters at all out here if all of us could just do that. There is some people that try. That's what I'm talking about. They will fight head, nail, and tooth just to get your platform, your news station, your broadcasting defunded. That's what's crazy though. I don't feel like anything defunded has to completely stop operating. Like it's a few of those boys and girls club, different organizations. This is really happening. After school programs, daycare, stuff like that. That's being defunded, even if it's just temporarily. Like a lot of it, you see that it actually says temporarily closed down. But places like that, I was saying them the places that actually need to keep the funding. But I do understand closing them down, I guess, if you need to reorganize some things. For example, that's normal when people go on strike or the company is under review, different reasons. But these programs that's for kids, I don't understand that one. You know what I'm saying? Defunding those before you defund some of this other stuff. Nothing. All the money going to them though. Or these them programs you find out later. Like I say, everybody only get away with something until we know they're doing it. And these be the same programs, they're still getting funded over other ones, but later they wasn't even doing the right thing. Like it's really sad. So, and it's weird. That's why we really do have to pay attention to what's all in the big beautiful bill. All these laws and stuff that change every day, and bills that be passed. That's another thing that was brought up for discussion before. They was kind of discussing that side hustles and gigs may I feel like a change like that would affect people on all kind of different financial classes. The day something like that go into effect and you say side hustles or side gigs are no longer legal, that would affect more than the low class. I can tell you that right now. It's like, are they thinking through some of these ideas? Or is this intentional? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. There are people that became millionaires through independent ventures and what you call, just to you, a quote unquote side hustles. Change their whole life with them. Maybe he means just, I don't know, you got to be more specific. Maybe he means just the illegal ones. Last I saw, the IRS was asking, even if you stole it. Y'all remember that? I did a podcast about that before, but it was like they were saying even if you stole it, report it. I was like, who gonna really do that? Wasn't that just not that long ago? They had to change some things in the IRS laws and stuff. They wanted to know they said any income you made, you need to report it. I remember that. You know, now it might get even deeper, but maybe they mean the illegal side hustles. That makes sense. If you just mean side gigs and side hustles, that's gonna affect more than the low class. They gotta be more specific with that. Just saying go to work for like what? For established business and companies? What? For even some of the government jobs. People been out here getting laid off. Whatever been happening, they've been getting laid off, replaced. If we all wake up with the intention of integrity every day though, I feel like there's no way things can't change, right? Just waking up with integrity. You might not know what your next move is going to make. You might not know what your next career is going to be. You might not like the pay at your current job, stuff like that. You still got to sit back and just watch things unfold though too, because some of this stuff, I'm just be honest, that I feel like it's being targeted. It's to target a certain group of people, but you can see the way that it's going to boomerang back, because certain things just, it's inevitable. It affects more than just a low class of people, because every action has a counter reaction. Period. This goes back to science first before it's about politics. But politics is a form of science. I would say it's a form of science before it's a form of art or math or any other subject. It's like a science, like it's a system. That's why I say politics is a science. To me, more than any other subject, they might think it's more about history or something. No, it's a science. Any system can malfunction. Look at the Xbox. I'm sure it glitches sometimes, or I've had like major issues with, I'm not even trying to use examples really, but any system is like what I said. A system is just that um, it can change things drastically for the better. It can also, have defects. That's the thing about it. I like to understand the effects of what I guess you could say good and bad leadership. Like any leadership that's more for the leader though than the people, it's bad for any country. Not accusing any leader of that. I'm saying in any leadership position, at a job, in a family, once that leader become like, okay, this is just all about me. Who cares how all the people are affected now? I mean, if it get to that level, it better be a very powerful reason why. Because especially if it's the type of place where you were voted in, you were elected in, you were, what's the other word? Recommended in type of deal. Why would people want to see you go another way? But that's why, once again, with politics, I get quiet, but it's not because I don't have a voice or like I don't be having an opinion. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Once you start voicing an opinion about this stuff, though, people start emotional intelligence levels start showing. It's like, man, it's just our opinions. You're either Republican, Democratic, or you believe this or you believe that. What are you getting all touchy for? When hate becomes a action, I mean, hate is just a feeling to me. But when it becomes an action, that's when it's out of line. I don't care what group or organization it is. It's out of line. Let your feelings be your feelings. And you do have a way to express yourself. You have a freedom to do that in this country. I don't like what they're trying to turn it into. Don't try to make our freedoms look like it has to turn everybody evil. Well, you made this pact to freedom because there's a brighter side of freedom. That's all I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Freedom shouldn't just be everybody going the most reckless way possible or going the reckless ways to get what they want quicker. Everybody becoming identity. I don't know. Don't get me started. Like, what did I say? Identity is more than just personal information. More people should just get off into, and maybe that is what's happening. Like, more people are waking up to their identities. What other choice do you leave people to do when everything they ever knew themselves to be is now suddenly changing quicker than they can realize? Just because laws are changing, just because the president changed, just because certain leaders feel this and that. Okay. No, that shouldn't be that way. See, certain jobs, they need, I don't know, certain jobs, we're going to have to start getting, because some are like that. You got to have a physical health check, all kind of stuff, just for some of these places of employment. You got to have a background check, fingerprint check, physical check, maybe a drug check. And I'm just saying, like, some of our highest positions also need those same double checks before people are qualified to be there. And people really don't like to talk about it because all I'm going to say is, like, some of us did what some of these people with money do, we would have had penalties a long time. I mean, if we would have took quote unquote hate or emotions of hate or emotions of dislike towards somebody, had we personally took certain actions in that direction, hate is a feeling until it turns into an act. I'm going to say it one more time. Hate is a feeling until it turns into an action. Okay? This country, we have a very well-known, familiar history with knowing it. That's what I'm saying. You get a lot of, we respect diversity, but you get a lot of diverse people together, but they want to, we all only cool as long as somebody not bringing up that's a problem, because that's a whole part of American history that we actually have already proven that we do have the capacity to overcome. What y'all think about that? It's very true. Knowing that hate is an emotion. We get it. You hate somebody. You hate something. You hate what they stand for. So what? Why would your hate turn into, I didn't say it turn into an action can always be bad, but what type of action does matter? because that's crazy. Like that's like us going backwards. And that word again is at the end of MAGA. You know what I'm saying? But that's like going backwards. Only people confused about their identities would go backwards. Let's be honest. Confused about who you are and where you stand would the natural person walks forward, not backwards. But they want us to see stuff like somebody seem to be walking backwards. They want us to pretend that we don't see it. Anybody's going to notice that because the average person walks forward. You want us to see a person walking in reverse and not think anything of it. They doing a whole crawl in reverse, a walk in reverse. That's going to look backwards to people. So, and if we're saying make it great again, just being more direct about the great again parts. You know what I mean? Because most people liked what it was turning into. They do. They feel like they have freedom for the most part. They have freedom to be who they want to be, blah, blah, blah. But is the freedom an illusion at the end of the day when you still have people who are operating in their freedom being pretty much attacked just for that? This is not the Malcolm X and Rosa Parks days anymore. It's just not, as far as the time period that we're in. But it's like, great again? Are we going backwards or forwards? Let's say make it better than ever or something. Then it would be called MABA. MABA. Hold on, let me see. Make America better than ever. It would be called MABE. MABE. Make America better than ever. Not great again. But it's okay. I didn't help create the name or none of that. Anyways, it's an interesting topic. I feel like can be talked about more. We got a whole another 3 years into this term to go. I got you. I got you. I'm finna end my stream right here. Probably come back with a part two. I don't want to go for like into hours on the topic, but per usual, you will make it TV. Appreciate your support. We'll be back with another insightful live topic soon. You guys are also free to like shoot me over some insightful topics you'd like to hear me build on to soulworkimages11@gmail.com. That's always welcoming too. We still, if you're not a subscriber already, welcome you to subscribe. And also, so you can tune in and be notified every time we post a new daily inspirational quote, divine message, or insightful topic just like these. We have more to come going into the fall of 2025. But we want you guys, we wish everybody a safe week, a prosperous week. We're going to be back with those Crown curriculum briefing books, just more topics about it as we go into sharing the appointment link again for more those that are interested in connecting with me to learn what these packages could look like for their learners or independent teachers going into the 25-26 school year. We appreciate you guys' support, and until next time.